which means that this, no matter if the battery switch is turned off, the sump pump's wired directly into the batteries.
Okay.
So if water got into the sump pump area, it would automatically bilge out. If water was in your bilge and got up to a certain level, it would automatically bilge out, because the bilge pump and the emergency bilge pump, which is an overflow or a high water bilge, would automatically come on.
Is that required? It sounds like that's a...
So all these are required to be wired directly into the battery. So if this is off, all that stuff's still able to work.
Okay.
You'll never have to mess around with any of those. There's really nothing to mess around with there. So the only thing you're really going to do in here is turn those off, put on battery 1 if you're sitting around, or battery 2. And then again, if it's having a hard time starting, put it on both. They'll tie both batteries in, then you can fire it up. Makes sense?
I don't want you to start. I just want to see how it goes.
Yep.
Which key is... And
But don't we want to? Some
people will...
already?
And we'll turn that back on, because as soon as you turn those off, being that it's not a toggle switch, it'll turn off all those because they're electric. Some people, and do what you want, some people will take their cabin key home with them, and then stash their ignition key down in the cabin. But do whatever.
Do we only have one key?
Yeah.
Can
And
we
I
make copies?
can get you a spare 911, and I'll see if I have a spare 3203. Okay. And again, Brian may have those in the owner's manual. I'll have to reach out to him.
Okay.
But again, that way you're not having to put these in here. Now it's like, oh darn, now I need the key back out for the cabin. So do whatever you like there. So as soon as you turn that on, it won't start the engine. Just turns it on, either off or on, and now you have the power of turning on and off the motor up at the back.
Oh, that's that. That's the blower.
Yep, the blower. So again, you're going to want to run the blower for about 4 minutes.
Okay.
So the best thing to do is, again, we come on the boat, maybe unlock the cabin first, turn on the battery switches, put the key in the ignition, come up, turn the blower on, start putting all your gear on the boat. That way when you're ready to go, it's been 4 minutes or more, you know the bilge has been aired out real good, then you can start it up.
And if it takes us a half hour to go off, is it okay to just have that blowing the whole time?
I've been out on my boats before where I've left it on all day long, because you forget, you're out boating. It's not going to hurt anything except for the bilge blower might go out sooner than later. It's about a $50 part.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like a $1,000 part that you're going, oh, don't run it that often. This is a fuel injected motor, so there's no pumping of the throttle. When you turn it on to the first spot, it's going to make a loud noise. That's an alarm to let you know that if that alarm goes off, it's letting you know the alarm works. But if it goes off and it stays loud like that, it goes off for one of 3 reasons. High temperature, low oil pressure, or low gear lube oil. 99 times out of 100, it's typically the gear lube oil, and I'll show you what that is down in the bilge. That's to make sure that there's oil down in the lower unit, and there's a reservoir, and as that reservoir, if it goes down to a certain level, it sounds off the alarm to tell you, top it back off.
Okay.
So 3 reasons why the alarm will go off: high temperature, low oil pressure, and low gear lube oil. If it goes off, you can look at your temperature and see if it's above 170. If it's buried, okay, that's why it's going off. So it should tap out at about 180, which is right past the 170. The gauges are...
When we're running, you mean?
Yeah, when you're running. Oil pressure is going to be anywhere 40 to 80 depending on speed you're going. So if that was down to 0, okay, that's why the alarm's going off. But again, it's usually the gear lube oil is why that alarm's going off. So being that's fuel injected, you put it to the first position for about 2-3 seconds. And the reason why is there's a fuel pump that pressurizes the system. And then turn it over.
What did you do there?
I just made sure it was down all the way.
So this is
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
This is
towards
up.
you is down, forwards up.
Okay. And so you always do that? You always make
I
sure
just
it's
wanted to
down?
make sure it was all the way down.
Okay, but
You don't have to. I mean,
Okay.
we'll just
all right.
have it, I guess.
No,
But
it's
if it's
good.
if it's up, that's bad, right? You don't want to.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to start all the way up. If
Okay.
it was all the way up, it wouldn't even start anyways. There's like a sensor in there
Yeah.
that if it's all the way up in a certain position, it won't allow you to start it.
So if it's not starting, that might be why, huh?
So there's a couple reasons why it wouldn't start. So that's where I was going to go next. So good point, or good subject to bring up. Either A, you could turn this onto the first rocker position, then you could look at your gauge to confirm that the app drive's all the way down.
That's the prop down gauge?
If you don't
That's
have
the
this on, it
outright.
won't. Okay.
So
It just
now
takes a little while.
Now it's all the way up.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's actually about halfway up, and then you have a trailer mode. So if you're putting it on a trailer, you could push it and lift it even further out.
Okay, so
out
it
of
only
water.
never comes all the way up unless you
The
press
trailer.
that button.
So if you went to turn it over right now, it would just turn over, turn over, turn over,
Okay.
and wouldn't start. So make sure to have it all the way back down. So I'm just pulling backwards.
Okay.
And then you'll hear that little whine.
Okay.
So if you're not watching the gauge, if you hear that little whine, you know it's all
Okay.
the way down. So if this is in forward or reverse just a little bit, oh, yeah, I did it. So let me try that again.
It won't start.
It won't start.
I mean neutral. Got it.
So you have to make sure what happens is there's two pins in there. And if the pins aren't touching, it thinks it's in gear, so it won't start.
Okay.
So sometimes if you go to push it over and nothing's there, you have to kind of wiggle this around
Okay.
to make sure that those pins are indeed touching.
How problematic is that? Does that last or is it?
It's pretty common that it doesn't go out. It's
Okay.
pretty common that you have to wiggle
Okay.
around. It's probably one of the most common calls I get.
Okay.
People go, my boat won't start. There's nothing there. Batteries are on. Yeah. Wiggle the throttle around, and then
Okay.
they do that, and I hear vroom, starts up.
Okay.
If for any reason you would never need to do this, but for any reason, if you ever wanted to rev the engine up or warm it up a little faster, you push this button in.
High idle.
Yeah, and it takes it out of gear.
Oh,
Now,
it's just a. Got it.
again, being that's a fuel injected motor, you would never have to do that. On carbureted engines, they were
Yeah.
very cold blooded, so
Yeah.
you'd have to sit there and kind of, warm it up real
Okay.
good. As soon as I go back to neutral, that button will pop out.
Okay.
Now we're back in the gear.
Okay.
So
We were impressed at how well you docked this the other day. I know
you'll be doing that today.
We'll see about that. All right.
We talked about carbon monoxide
Yep.
before.
Did we?
So if you're out and you have all the canvas up, it's good to open up a small piece of the canvas to get some airflow coming in from the front, so you don't get that station wagon effect, which boats will do. Because if you're all enclosed and you have your exhaust in the back here in an enclosed environment,
Yeah.
it will do like a station wagon effect. So
Okay.
we always crack open a piece of the isinglass, get a little airflow coming in. On a nice day, it'll end up being open anyway, so you're perfectly fine. Another thing I recommend is if people are going down and going down to the cabin while you're running, again, open up a porthole down
Yeah.
there to get a little airflow coming in down there, so you don't have problems with carbon monoxide down there. So we're going to turn this back off. We'll go over a few things on the dash here. So again, you have two bilge pumps down in the bilge. You have an automatic bilge, so if the water hits a certain level, it'll automatically come on. When it goes down to below that level, it'll automatically turn off. On top of that, you have a manual bilge pump.
Okay.
You gotta love the little
See a picture there.
Yeah.
And you have water out.
water out.
Yeah.
So that's going to be bilge. This will be blower. And we can obviously hear the blower. The hatch up, hatch down means nothing on this boat because this is a manual hatch lift.
Is it for the
Again,
engine?
Yeah, for the lift, for the hatch lift up. Again, a lot of these gauges or dashes are generic. No matter if it's a Sea Ray 28, a Sea Ray 31, it's the same layout, the same gauges and switches they use. So a lot of stuff on here won't be for this boat. For example, vent open, vent close. That would be on a bigger boat that the center windshield's fixed, and there's a little vent that opens and closes.
Okay.
This boat
So don't worry about
doesn't
that?
have either of those.
Okay.
Windshield wiper port does not have one, but it's already wired in for one. And then, of course, the starboard windshield wiper. The windlass, once you get that installed, this will be your power on, and then you can raise it or lower it with these switches. So it's already, the switches are already there for you. Again, this little switch is for the water pump.
I should mark that one. That's
So do you usually
It's kind of a
have that
tricky
on?
one.
You put that on every time you take
Yeah,
off usually?
once you come on the boat, I would. Now, if you stay the night on the boat, if you leave that on, what happens is it's a pressurized line.
yeah.
So throughout the night, the lines will not be pressured. They'll kind of go down. So about every hour, you'll hear bzzz,
Okay.
and then an hour later, bzzz. So if that bugs you, it's like, oh, turn off the water pump.
Right. Okay.
Other things here is going to be the horn. It's not working today. There we go. Nice horn on boat. Typical boat horn.
Is it?
Real cheesy.
Okay.
And then you've got bilge lights. Once I have the bilge or the engine hatch open, you have lights down the bilge. You've got the arch lights. That needs to be replaced. Those are kind of a specific bulb. There's metal ends on both sides, and you kind of push in one end and snap in the other end.
Okay.
And you can get different colors of those if you wanted to get all into that. Cockpit lights down below. Compartment lights in the little storage areas, like underneath the sleep here. If you're just sitting at night, you turn on your anchor light. That just shows people or tells people from a distance you're sitting.
Is that the all-around light or?
Yeah, all
Okay.
around light.
Okay.
Up on top of the radar
Okay.
arch. Or when you have your windlass put in, or if you're going to use this anchor for overnighting, you want to leave that on throughout the night.
Okay.
If you turn on navigation, it'll automatically turn on the anchor light. The navigation runs the green and the red light up front.
Okay.
All your dash lights, and again, your anchor light.
Okay.
So if you're running, you're going to want to have that on so you can see your dash.
At night?
Dash,
Or-
yeah.
At night or all the time?
At nighttime.
Okay.
Wait, is navigation the one that
How
turns
come
the
it's
red
not
and green
turning on?
one? Is that what you said?
Oh, there it goes.
I'm sorry?
Is navigation the one that turns the red green?
Yep.
That means
turns
you're
on,
going.
Yep, red,
Okay.
green. It'll turn on your dash lights and your anchor light.
Okay.
So pretty much people know at nighttime turn that on because they're not able to see their
Right.
their lights. Once that's on, then you can dim the light either brighter or softer.
Okay.
Some people, bright lights in dark kind of is
Right.
a little bit more blinding, so they'll dim it down. So again, you can dim it all the way up or dim it down, and
Okay.
you won't be able to see that until nighttime. This is how you turn on the stereo system. So once that's on, you can come up to here, hit function power.
Capital One Sharebuilder Inc., a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA SIPC.
Chicken. It's never the first thing you order.
12 o'clock. Don't miss them. 12:10.
And then again, if you didn't want the speakers on up here, you can go down below and turn off the stereo amplifier.
Okay.
So turn off the speakers up here and only have speakers down
Okay.
below. If you want to turn the stereo off altogether, you can either
There you go.
you could either mute it here,
Mm-hmm.
or you can just turn it off altogether by pushing that
That's
button.
stereo. That's water down there that's on still.
The accessory one is going to be your depth finder.
Okay. Do people leave that on when they're running? Just
It's kind of hit and miss. It's
why would you not? I mean, just to
Yeah,
know where
I
you
mean,
are.
it's probably not a bad idea to leave it on. I mean, if you're out in the middle of the lake, then it's like, okay, no need. But
Okay.
a lot of times, once you turn it on, it ends up staying on all day long.
Why is this saying up now? Did you?
As soon as the key's off, it'll go to up. As soon
Oh.
as you turn the key back on,
Oh, okay.
it'll reset all your
Okay.
gauges.
It's a lot to learn.